Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber make a comment, and I guess it's a question also, and he said, Lane apparently has made a video titled, From Eating Disorder to IFBB Bikini Pro. Like, what's the difference? So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. Yeah, that's a good question. What the hell is the difference? I thought Lane was all about promoting natural bodybuilding and stuff. How is he talking about IFBB? I don't get that. I've never understood that supposed association when it's virtually impossible to be competitive in any branch of the IFBB without tons of drugs. But you know what? Who cares? I'm not even going to get into that. In fact, I haven't even seen the video, wasn't even aware it existed. But it does raise the question of, can we really differentiate between an IFBB Bikini Pro and eating disorders? I mean, when you really think about it, when you really think about these things, the amount of eating disorders and body image disorders and drug abuse and everything that goes on in any sort of physique endeavor, particularly something like that, how do we draw a distinction? Because, you know, you look at anorexics and the way that they starve themselves down. One of the most typical eating disorders, anorexia. It involves dropping down to, obviously insanely low body weights, but also low body fats through starvation due to seeing yourself as too fat even when you're already lean and skinny. Now, people would say, well, that's a big difference because, you know, many of these physique competitors are not dropping down to low body weights. Well, that's true, but that's also because they're lifting weights usually using anabolic steroids and all sorts of stuff. If anorexics did these things, they wouldn't drop to necessarily low body weights either. They would just drop to really low body fats. But many of the habits of them are the same. All right? This obsession with extremely low body fats and seeing yourself as fat when you aren't fat. Now stop and think about that for a minute. Look how many people in the physique competition world or who are part of that world, when they see someone at a normal healthy body fat in the normal range, they think they're fat. If they themselves are in the healthy range, they say they're fat. If they see another competitor or someone who works out, who's in the healthy body fat range, they call them fat. Think about that for a minute. How is that any different from these anorexic women who see themselves as fat when they're already thin? How's that any different? I mean, is there a difference? I don't think there is. I think anyone, absolutely anyone who sees a healthy, normal body fat percentage as being fat has a major disorder already. That's a person who is already thinking like an anorexic. All right, and that's reality. That is a simple reality. If you see a man at 15% body fat and you think he's fat, you have already some sort of mental disorder. Like, that is a mental disorder. That is delusional thinking. That is seeing something that is absolutely not there. That's a delusion. And that's also an extremely unhealthy mindset, because that mindset also says that you have to be at an unhealthy or borderline unhealthy body fat to not be fat. All right, it's a very extreme way of thinking, and it is the exact same mindset of these anorexic girls. You see it in the physique world. You see it in the bodybuilding world. You see it in the bikini world. Oh, that person is fat. When they're healthy, they're perfectly healthy. They're at a perfectly healthy body fat level, but it's fat. You know, when we call someone fat, that doesn't mean that they're not ripped in the rest of the world. Fat means that they're obese. It means they carry an unhealthy amount of body fat. So at this point, health is being seen as unhealthy. Again, this is the exact mentality of an anorexic. The exact mentality of an anorexic. Furthermore, how do these anorexic and people with these body image and eating disorders think? You know, they think that they have to strive to achieve what they see as the perfect body. The perfect body. It's exactly what you see in physique competition. If anything, physique competitions are nothing more than encouraging, organizing, and judging eating disorders and body image disorders. All right, that's exactly what they are. They're organized eating disorders and body image disorders. And it's been turned into something socially acceptable because it's in a competitive environment. Now, look at the way that the people who get involved in these things, even these bikini contests, they get so obsessed with their diets that they weigh and track everything that they eat. Weighing and tracking everything you eat, sitting there with a scale, weighing every ounce of food, every gram of food that you eat, knowing that won't even give you an accurate representation. That won't even tell you the exact number of carbs or calories you're eating. A lot of people don't seem to grasp that, but that's the reality of it. But they obsess over it. They'll sit around and weigh everything they eat. They obsess over having perfectly structured meal plans. Many of them believe they have to eat every 2 hours. Stuff that's completely unrealistic, that's not based on anything scientific. It's a weird idea they've come up with. They have to eat exactly these number of meals. If they miss a meal, something's going to go wrong. Sit around weighing everything you eat. Having lists of foods that they can or can't eat, like whole good and bad foods list. That they can't eat at all, they can't touch, oftentimes following extremely restrictive meal plans. Oftentimes a lot of these people are only eating 6 or 7 different foods throughout the week. All right, that's how restrictive their meal plans and lifestyles are. That's eating disorders, guys. Those are the exact same behaviors that people exhibit who have extreme, dangerous eating disorders. That's exactly what we see in these contests. How about all the people then who are obsessed with if it fits your macros? Really sitting around counting every gram of carbs and fat that you eat? Again, that's becoming an eating disorder. That's something that people are actually talking about looking at and diagnosing as a new type of eating disorder. We already have orthorexia nervosa within the last decade. Actually sitting around and obsessing over tracking all your macros and weighing everything out, that's probably an eating disorder. And again, people say, well, that's necessary. Actually, you can't even accurately track your calories more than about plus or minus 10% even with a scale. So no, it isn't necessary. A ballpark will get you there. But again, why are they doing this? They are doing this because they feel the need to obsess over some idea or an ideal of a perfect physique. Obsessing over a perfect physique. Again, that's what we see with eating disorders. That's exactly what we see in the world of eating disorders, the exact mentality these physique competitors have. And then we get to the drug end of it. IFBB means they're going to be using a lot of drugs. So all these people will run all these cocktails of drugs, many of them dangerous. Why? Because they believe that this cocktail of drugs is going to help them obtain the perfect body. Also, many of these things will burn fat. They will abuse fat-burning drugs while getting ready for these contests. That's the same thing that anorexics do. They abuse fat loss pills, whatever they can find, whatever's out there on the market. Many anorexics will use 2 or 3 times the recommended dose of whatever sort of diet pills and stuff they can find. They abuse them. They routinely abuse them. Physique competitors do the exact same thing, but usually with real prescription type drugs. All right, they will abuse fat burners chasing this perfect level of leanness in this perfect body. That's just what happens in this environment. That's what happens in this world. And yet, someone asked the question, wait, from eating disorder to IFBB Bikini Pro, what's the difference? That's a hell of a question because there isn't a difference. Pretty much anybody competing in any of these physique endeavors either has some sort of body image disorder, has some sort of eating disorder, or they are going to develop 1 or 2 or more of them over the course of their competing. It just goes with the territory. So, people talking about getting into physique competition to overcome some sort of eating disorder or body image disorder as if it's an improvement, that's literally like taking someone who has a cocaine addiction and saying, from cocaine addict to heroin addict. Go throw them in an environment around a bunch of heroin addicts to get them away from cocaine. That's the sort of mentality we're talking about here. That's how fucking insane that is. Sorry, but anyone who's ever had an eating disorder or a body image disorder, they absolutely should never, ever be exposed to any sort of physique competition. That is the worst possible environment that person could be put in. And anyone who encourages that, anyone who encourages anyone who's been in those situations to get into any sort of competitive physique endeavor, particularly at the serious level, is a sick fuck who is doing nothing but harming those people. They are harming those people. And I'm sorry, but that is extremely immoral, extremely unethical to even promote such a thing. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.